now. So welcome everyone to our module 2 of the Leadership Academy. And first and foremost, we want to thank all of you who joined today and also those who are still going to join for participating in this initiative of this current administration headed by our chair, Michelle Perjoli. So we have a very interesting topic today, and in a little while we will be introducing our guest speaker, a very vibrant and dynamic speaker from other district, California, Nevada, Hawaii district. So for the meantime, I would like to call your attention on the housekeeping rules. Can we switch on the second screen? Okay. On the welcome. So we need to set your display, set your name on your screen. Let us know your name and the country you are coming from, or at least your district. And then the participants will be muted. So at least we could hear, we could have a there. Thank you, Michelle. So please remain muted, and camera, we requested the camera off, but as we are starting and we are going to take a picture, so I would like to request everyone to please turn your camera on for the initial picture taking, because we want to acknowledge the early birds. So after that, we'll ask everyone to please turn off your camera so we could stabilize the audio. And on questions and interactions, please post any questions in the chat box at any time. If and our every end of this subject, the speaker may entertain some questions before we leave that topic. And we have our team here that will also monitor our question and answer sessions later on. And feel free to use Zoom reactions. Okay, so can we take a picture now or later? As we wait.
We start in case we lose some people, and then
yeah. So who's taking a picture? Michelle? Chair Michelle?
Okay, but we need to
turn on camera first.
Let me see. Gigi is not there.
Yeah. So you're the technical guy person.
I'm here, but I'm on my tablet.
Oh, still there.
Yeah, she's still there. She's the one. She's the one who knows how to do
No,
Okay.
I cannot take the whole picture. It's better on the laptop.
Yeah. Okay. Me, I can have.
Okay,
just
everyone,
25.
please show your.
You have to show
open the camera.
Open your camera.
And show your beautiful smile.
Oh, there's some they haven't yet.
Okay. So while waiting, today we have a long 120-minute agenda. So for the session 1, we are going to tackle develop personal leadership, emotional intelligence, and influence. So, and then after each topic, we're going to have a 5-minute question and answer. And then we're going to have a 10-minute break. So during that 10-minute break, if you're not going somewhere, take a pee break or whatever, we could continue asking questions and respond. And then we begin with session 2. By the way, before we proceed with the session 2, we'll take another picture taking, photo ops. And then on session 2, we are going to talk about influence, trust, leadership, impact. And after that session, we are going to entertain question and answer. But feel free to post your questions as we go along with the discussion. And then we're going to have an evaluation of this module, and also will tell you what the next step from here, and group picture and the closing. So that's the 120-minute agenda that we're having today. So are we good, Chair Michelle?
Yes,
Can
we
we
are.
proceed?
Yes, please.
Okay. So as we have a very interesting topic and today, and a very um, I'm losing an adjective here to introduce our speaker, but let me start. So we have today, we're very lucky to have the presence of past District Governor Valarie Brown-Klingelhoefer from from California, Nevada, Hawaii District. I'll give you a little background of her. So she holds a PhD on College Student Personnel Administration, University of Northern Colorado, Master of Arts, Educational Leadership and Policy Studies, University of Northern Colorado, Bachelor of Arts, Mass Communications, University of California, and her profession, educational leadership and public policy development. Areas of relevant experience: community partners, finance, philanthropy, marketing, club opening, and club revitalization. She joined Kiwanis in 2010, and she's a member of her home club is a Kiwanis Club of Marina based in California, and she's also a dual member of or multiple membership from 11 clubs. She actually have a total of 11 clubs, and both of us we are a member of Eye of the Tiger Club. That's where we have the common um, domain. So let us welcome past District Governor Val for short, Valarie Brown-Klingelhoefer. Yay, Val.
Hi, before I go into the share mode, I'm going to stop sharing for just a moment, because I want to see all of your faces. And as I look at you, I just want to thank you all for being here. This is a really big deal for me to speak with many of you. I've had a chance to share with clubs in Australia and the Philippines, but to see you all here and dedicated to becoming stronger leaders is really inspiring. So I wanted to let you know that you all inspire me, and I am thrilled to be here. So as we go through this process, if you have questions as we go along, or if I'm speaking too quickly or get too excited, put it in the chat, and Belle will make sure that I answer your questions. I don't want you to have to wait all the way until the end. But if there are certain questions that we need to hold off on, I'll answer as much as I can, and then we'll move forward. But today we're really going to cover some, 5 really amazing areas. And we're not talking about your communication style. What we're talking about today is really how you're developing that personal leadership, your emotional intelligence, and how that creates an influence. So the best way to do that is by really redefining what leadership looks like, from the traditional leadership styles to more of a transformational leadership style. And that means diving into your personal leadership and talking about your inner awareness versus the outer perceptions, your emotional intelligence under pressure, because we all know that we turn into somebody different when we're under pressure. And then being able to manage that in a way that really works for you, so that you can leverage it in your everyday life and you can leverage it in the Kiwanis world and all the other pieces. But where I love to start is really looking at leadership. And for many of you, when you think about leadership, right, it's the boss, right? Boss at the top. You have to be strong, you have to be stalwart, dress a certain way, look a certain way, and communicate in a certain way. And we really want to redefine that, because that is positional, but it's not true internal leadership. And so what I've done is a little bit of homework, because I'm kind of a little bit of a geek, which means that I love to do research on this and talk and give you examples so that you can take them away with you. And so the very first part of looking at yourself and at your personal leadership is really looking at what's inside and clarifying the purpose and your values for why you're doing what you do, why you're in that leadership role. And it sets a really amazing foundation for being able to self-manage yourself. Because most people look at you and they're not expecting that they're going to have to teach you how to be a leader or how to work with them. So it really comes in from you consistently watching your behavior, making adjustments, and looking at who you are. And I think everybody knows the difference between a leader that has integrity and doesn't, a leader that is self-focused versus mission-focused. But sometimes they don't have the emotional intelligence to really make the adjustments that are necessary. And so is this making sense to you all? Kind of nod. So I want to make sure that everybody's awake and had coffee. Cool. All right. And the emotional intelligence for me is the most important part, because that is when you know how to deal with people where they are at in their process of joining and being a part of things. And it means that you have a use of empathy in a different level. In many cultures, it's not acceptable for the boss to be empathetic. And you can probably think about some organizations, some accountants, they can't show that they have emotional feelings because they're talking about numbers, or they can't show that they really want to give somebody a hug. And a couple of you know when I talk about hugs, my love language and my leadership language is touch. And so I know when and when not to interact with people and give them a pat on the back or give them a sense of touch. And it also comes out in my communication skills and how I interact, because I want to make sure that I'm speaking with people at the place they're at, not from a rush, have to get it done, telling everybody what to do all the time and expecting that they do it exactly the way I would do it. And so that's where the real challenge in thinking about your personal leadership goes into an internal alignment, because leading in some areas just doesn't fit. And if you can think about it, some people are really good at being international president because they have this full commitment to being around a lot of people and working with a lot of people and talking with them. And their belief and their energy is gigantic. But for some of us, leading within our club or leading from behind and supporting other people works better, because for us, working in small groups and touching people in a different kind of way is the way it goes. And so you have to make sure that in order to be authentic, that how and where you lead fits who you are. The last part of that is looking at your persuasive influence, being inspirational. And I look around the Zoom and I look at your faces, and there are so many of you that have inspired me. And I'm just going to do a call out. Michelle was my governor counselor. And so when I was asked to be a part of this, I was like, absolutely. And that's because of his inner spirit and energy. And when Belle said, this is going to be a fun time, I believed her. And as leaders, what we do oftentimes is much more influential than what we say or how we set things up. And so persuasion is in multiple levels, and it shares your authority when you do what you say you're going to do, and when you are empathetic with everybody. And then that means that you can lead into that whole thing about the external impact. Because if you have all these pieces together, then you will have meaningful influence. Does this make sense? Okay. But one of the things I really want to stress as we're talking about this is control-based influence isn't really influence. And most people, there's like a quadrant where you have this. In one quadrant, you have bosses that use control. And think about one of the bosses that you had that were like, oh my goodness, I could not volunteer with that person. Can you think of somebody? I'll give you an example for me. I have a military sergeant that wanted to be our advisor for our high school tea club. And he was going to tell the kids exactly what they need to do, when they need to be there, how they need to dress. And all of a sudden, all of us were going, there is no way. Because when you have that authoritarian approach to life, it really sends triggers into people because we're all volunteers. And we all really want to make sure that we're valued and that our results are coming from us, not being told what to do. And so it really is what we're looking at in this academy is talking about how to build a trust-based strategy when you're working as a leader. And so that trust-based strategy is walking into a club and knowing what, that people from different walks of life are in that club. They all have different passions. And it's actually listening to them and making sure that they know that you care about their opinions, that you care about them both as a volunteer, a club member, a club leader, as well as a person. And when you're authentic about that, it is amazing how quickly you'll have that mutual respect. And it also means that you want to follow. And if you can think about one thing that you do right now, that I'm going to give you a little homework. I'm going to back up just a little and give you a little bit of homework. Think about one thing that you can do in the next 30 days for the members in your club that shows that you feel thankful for them being in your club. Think about that one thing that you can do. For some people, it may be providing a snack or having candy bars that you hand out. Or if you're really, really healthy, it's a water bottle that says, you make my world great. And so I wanted to share this with you. It doesn't need to be big, it doesn't need to be costly. But when you show empathy and you show support for people, it really fosters the need to volunteer. And you heard right when Belle introduced me, I actually belong to 12 clubs around the world. And the reason I belong to 12 clubs around the world is because each and every one of them has this something special. And the people that are in that club are all amazing. And so for me, I want to do more. I want to volunteer more. And I leave clubs when I realize that I'm just filling a space. And that's one of the reasons why we open clubs and we make sure that it's a good fit for people when the current clubs don't always meet that empathetic need. And you'll notice that the impact when you have a trust-based strategy is strong, and you can see it almost immediately. And you can actually make changes incrementally that just compound and build on themselves, where people look forward to you asking them to be a part of what you're doing versus being in that control-based strategy, which is that people leave. They walk away from your club. They may not stop paying to be a member, but they start performing and they stop communicating with each other. They stop communicating with you. And it's just an emotional disconnect. And so what I wanted to talk about in this next part and give you a little bit more homework is in the personal leadership part, the foundations of emotional intelligence, so that when you're thinking about it, you're thinking about, there are 2 or 3 things that I need to work on my self-awareness, how I regulate myself when I'm interacting, or coming straight from work, or going to a meeting like this, where it's the first thing in the morning, where you may not have had your coffee and your breakfast. And then also the level of responsibility it is that you have within your leadership, and also making sure that you think about things intentionally and that you're really focused in on your club. And so most of the time, self-awareness is all about your emotions and the triggers. And so when I talk about emotions and triggers, it is when you walk into a meeting, where are you in your head? How are you feeling about things that are on your agendas? How are you feeling about the people that you're going to be seeing? Most leaders will do a self check-in before they get into a meeting. And sometimes that's difficult. So it means going to the restroom and closing the door so that it's just you. And so I think, Bill, do we have a question in the chat? Okay.
Sorry. No, none at the moment, but if there are some,
Okay.
can ask now. None at the moment.
Okay, wonderful. And a big thing is thinking about all the things that are going on in your community oftentimes impacts your emotions. So it's thinking about in the 5 minutes that you're doing a self check-in are what are some of the things that you're going to be talking about? What are some of the emotional things that might trigger you or might trigger someone in the audience of people that you're working with? One of the things for me is when we're going through political elections, they're really contentious, especially in California. And so we have a no politics rule. And that no politics rule gets violated all the time. And so in order to get ready for going into these meetings before an election day, I will work on me and making sure that my triggers aren't, I bury them deep in me so that when someone says something that I don't agree with or wouldn't vote for, I'm really, really clear. And I'll let people know right away. Today is not the day for this kind of conversation. But if we want to go out and have an adult beverage at another time, we can do that. And then after the meetings, it's really important to think about how that went. And maybe sometimes journaling works. People are asking for feedback from others to make sure that what you thought you were responding to and how you were responding really were what people were receiving it and their impression of you. So regulating emotions. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It's all about mindfulness. And one of my friends and past students said to me, Val, this sounds very transcendental. It is. Leadership is a holistic approach to how you do things. And so when when you're in leadership moments, you need to be present, you need to be focused, and you need to really think about how you respond and how you react. Because when you're mindful, then you're less likely to be reactionary. And that means in that 5-minute check-in that we talked about, that you're actually thinking about those things and maybe making sure that you take ownership for some of your emotions before you start so that you can be able to move forward. And then it's that right brain, left brain thing. There's a little bit of science in this. And it's really thinking about situations and thinking about what's the worst case scenario of how this might work versus the best case scenario. And the best example I can give you in volunteerism and actually what we're going to be talking about at International Convention is remote voting. And I'm going to ask you to tell me how you're going to vote, but remote voting is something that every single person has an opinion on. And if they don't have an opinion, they don't want to hear other people's opinion, and that affects their emotions and how they interact. And in past years, it's taken hours of conversation and going through the process. And so in those kind of stressful situations, you know that even in your own clubs, there might be different opinions on the process. So it's thinking about how do we reinterpret it and understand and talk about the emotional piece. So it's the creative side of your brain talking to people about how we're going to have the conversations and what opportunities are there. And then using the other part of your brain to really make sure that you're regulating your emotions and reflecting out the emotions so that people know that this is not personal, but it's something that we do need to move forward with. And it's setting a positive example. It really, really is. Even though sometimes you may not feel positive. But that's the role of a leader and taking responsibility for your behavior. The next piece of it is stress management. Do you all have techniques for stress management? And I'm going to just point out, Gigi, what do you do to keep your stress down?
Yeah, go out and be the children of the room.
Okay. Okay. Well, I saw at our last international convention, my beautiful friend from Tahiti was actually doing yoga before she went into a presentation. It was the coolest thing because she did her whole deep breathing and she did the leg lift. And I was like, she looks like a ballerina. And I realized she's actually centering herself so that when she goes into that room, she feels good about herself and she's not bringing the outside stress into the process. Now, not all of us are graceful. And if you ever saw me stretching like that, be aware that you might want to call 911 or call an ambulance because my body just doesn't do that. But my way of dealing with stress is I play video games. I will play video games for 3 minutes before I go into a heavy duty meeting because my brain is not focused on anything but the little colors moving on the screen. And maybe I'm winning, but it helps me manage my emotions so that I don't get overly excited or get put into a corner where I might react in a way that I'm going to have to make up for in the future. And that means that we're really intentional, we're consistent, and we're making things happen in a way that we're fully in control of. And one of the things when people know you and there's just one you, it's not you have the Kiwanis personality versus you have your work personality and you have your family personality. You want to be the true person, true to yourself and who you are, because if a person walks into the bank and you work at a bank and you treat them one way, and half an hour later you walk into a club meeting and all of a sudden you're this gregarious, amazing human being, and then you yell at your kids before they get into the car, there's this disconnect. And people will see that and they'll wonder, which person am I going to get today? And they already are stepping back from you. So part of this is making sure that you are consistent with how you interact with people at all times. And that's part of the process. And when you do that, it builds trust because you're consistent. And I was sharing with someone earlier today, they said, Val, I think I really know you. And I said, well, I'm kind of an open book, but there are a lot of pages. And he said, yeah, you're an open book, but you're the same book. And so no matter whether you like me or don't like me, it doesn't matter. I'm me. And I make sure that I greet Belle the same way I would greet Gigi, the same way I would greet Rico. It's the same. And that consistency, it makes people feel safe with you and they're more likely to respond to you. They're more likely to respect you. They may, and the thing is, it goes back to people, every single person that you interact with doesn't have to like you, but they do need to know that you are a true leader that's comfortable in their own skin and is a safe person to be around. And even people who don't like you will respect you for that. And so there's a lot of evidence out there, a lot of studies that truly say that people are more engaged in organizations that show this kind of consistency, where you have a nonprofit where you know that you're welcomed and that people are genuine in who they are. And that all comes from the inner awareness that then goes to the outer impact. And so, do you have any questions about before I go into this next module? I give you a moment. Anybody?
Yeah, I did not have any question, but sharing how the stress reliever. So
Oh,
yeah,
excellent, excellent,
yeah.
excellent. So if we're looking in the comments, perfect. I love this. And so thank you. You step out and you do an inhale and exhale, right? And so one of the exercises that we teach our students is to close your eyes and breathe in for 6 seconds, hold it, and then breathe out for 6 seconds. Hold it, breathe in, hold, breathe out. And if you do that 3 or 4 times, all of a sudden the stress goes out of your body. And if you practice it with me versus just watching me close my eyes, you probably will be less stressed um, in doing that. And so karaoke and TV shows. Oh, Desiree, I've got to hang out with you in Malaysia. Oh my goodness. I dance too. And so I like that. These are all really, really good stress relievers. And so absolutely fantastic. One of the things, because this is an adult audience, one of the things that a lot of leaders do that gets them in trouble is they use alcohol as a way to relieve their stress. And so we've discovered, especially after COVID, that a number of people actually, when they were going into Zooms, would have their glass of wine or their sake or their whatever right beside their Zoom computer. And so when they were off screen, they would have their adult beverage. And we all consumed a lot of adult beverages. But you have to think about now that we're much more likely to be in person and engaging with one another, that whatever behaviors that we want to make sure are out there, we consistently do. And so I have actually seen people now changing their behavior back, that when you're in an official meeting, when you're doing volunteer things and it's via Zoom like this, that you're not consuming an adult beverage. That's something that you do afterwards. And it will actually, it has the reverse effect. And even people think that an adult beverage helps them relax. It really doesn't. It just reduces their inhibitions. And when you don't have inhibitions, sometimes you say stuff you're not supposed to say. So, and it's hard to take it back. Let me do this. And so, as you know, one of the things that I want to reiterate for you as you're thinking about how to build trust, and some of this for you, you already know, is making sure that the authenticity, the true you, the true meaning of what you're doing is out there. Because when you're authentic, people know it. And when you're consistent, people know it. They know how to interact with you, they know how to approach you. And when you're transparent, if you have an agenda in mind that is really important, like you have a very special project, be upfront. You don't have to hold it back and wait so that you can barter with people or then surprise them. You just want to do it. And one of my other statistics that I come out with is the most influential people, the people that you see in social media and all of those things, are reliable. And it's like 87% of the people that get the highlights and they get all the views and they're making money off of social media, they tell you from the very beginning, I will be on the air, I will be on time, you will get 10 announcements from me a day or whatever, but they are consistent in what they do. And so that influence means that they are showing that they're reliable, and employees and volunteers are more likely to be engaged. So influence and action. Influence and action. All the case studies that I have helped work with and everything just show that if you go more from leveraging your credibility, your personal leadership style, your genuineness, you're more likely to get more done. So think about this. If you were wanting to put on a gigantic stage show in 3 weeks and you don't have any influence and you're just telling people what to do, that show is going to fail. Inevitably, it will fail because most volunteers don't want to be told by a drill sergeant, someone going, you must do this. You must, by 6 p.m. on Friday, you must have 5 singers that are here, and we're all going to do karaoke at 10 p.m. and blah, 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 blah. It won't work. But if you rally with people and say, we really need an event that's going to change the feeling of our community, and I need for everybody to put their thinking hats on together, and let's talk about what are the things that we can do individually and come together to make something work in about 3 weeks, you're more likely to get that feeling of authority across, because your authority comes from you sharing in a way that makes people comfortable and helps them be able to move in this process. For some of you, you may not be the sage on the stage. You may not be the main leader, and that's okay, because you can do this by being within a committee. You can help build alignment, help when you see someone being triggered up front, is helping redirect the conversation so that there's an opportunity for them to save face as well as reset themselves so that they aren't starting to turn into an authoritarian type of person. And most clubs that are really, really effective, every person in that club has a job. But the only way to do that is to understand how you interact when you have emotional intelligence under pressure. And so I know that when I was vice president at my university, we would have major crises. And most people would look at me and go, wow, your demeanor didn't change. You actually started to become even softer and kinder. And I was like, wow. And I realized it was because if I act in a certain way, everyone around me will start to absorb those feelings. And if I act really, really stressed and that I feel under pressure, that just continues on into what's going on. And so stress really breaks down relationships. And you'll notice that in clubs. When clubs are really, really stressed and feeling like they're not performing, all of a sudden, everything breaks down. Lots of programs happen. People start to, one of the terms the students use is they ghost you. They will just disappear. They won't return your phone calls. Or they'll tell you, I really have to spend more time working, or I have to spend more time at home in my garden. And those are all cues that there's misalignment in the stress in the club that needs to be dealt with right away. And so you want to not be reactive in the process. You want to take a pause, acknowledge that there's an issue, and assess how you're impacting that and the different members. And as a responsible leader, you want to make sure that you're also taking in information. That's where the thick skin comes in, or as one of my Hawaiian friends calls it, you have to have chicken skin, because chicken skin is really thick, and not take on other people's problems, but acknowledge that those issues are there. And you also will make sure that you focus in on what the outcome should be. Because when you are reactive, you're just trying to get it done. But when you are outcome focused, after taking a pause, you're looking ahead, you're looking to the future, and you're actually going to be much more consistent. And so there are a number of things that we could talk about. There are so many horror stories, and I don't like to focus in on horror stories because, I've been talking for almost 40 minutes. And so what I want to talk about, though, is knowing that when these breakdowns happen, it is an opportunity for a huge win. It is an absolute opportunity for a huge win. And that's when it is the apology. It's when you actually are looking at what's going on and you are saying, okay, let's be more deliberate about what we're doing. Let's talk it through. And sometimes I know that people are always saying, let's agree to disagree. That as a leader is not your goal and objective. It's not a disagree. You have your one opinion, I have mine. It is, where are we all headed and how can we get there together? And that breaks free of some of the conflicts that we sometimes have. And oftentimes these kind of conflicts come when you have brand new folks coming into your clubs and your organizations because they bring outside ideas in. And oftentimes we're so busy moving forward with what we do that we don't take the time to listen to those other ideas that might actually be strong and be effective. And so some of the practical takeaways are, if you have new people in your group, is providing an opportunity for them to share what they know, but also to educate them on where your group is headed and what types of programs and education that you're trying to do for them. Are there any questions at this point? Because I don't want to miss anybody.
There's no questions so far.
All right. Am I just doing a great job and no one and everybody's doing fine? Okay, cool. I'll take it. But the cultivating the leadership impact is the biggest piece for me in this process. And that's because it's the little things that have the biggest impact. Yes? Yes, Bill? Is there someone speaking? Okay. It's the little things that have the most impact on people. And so it's that reframing inside so that you can be an active listener. I know that in one of the modules, you'll have a lot of discussion on those key ways you can be an active listener. It's expressing appreciation, which was talked a little bit about in one of the last module. But those pieces, those little pieces, make a big deal. It's the modeling of the leadership. These things are amazing. And the most important is usually when we go into these roles, it's for 1 year being president, 1 year being secretary. And we try to do 5,000 things and make 5,000 changes. And none of them really stick. And so it's understanding that each time you're doing things, do it in smaller steps, be incremental in how you do that, and people will follow and they can speed up. So we're halfway through our Kiwanis year. And so maybe did 1 or 2 new things. People are used to your style now. And so you can start to make an impact in different ways and a little bit more quickly to reach your goals. And all of us, every last one of us on this Zoom can lead without formal power. Not one of us needs a title. And I know that's sometimes very difficult to know, but I have discovered in Kiwanis especially, if you have an idea and you want to do with it, run with it. Share your vision, get some more volunteers to help, do it. And when you collaborate with other people, that always replaces that someone telling everybody what to do. And the commitment through trust is absolutely beautiful. So here's an action plan for you and for your homework. And so what I would like for you to do over the next 6 days is to do some self-reflection. So think about some things that are your strengths. Think about some things that are strengths in others that you wish you could happen. And think about 2 things that you want to make a huge change for in your life. And then after that first week, I want you to do some major goal setting about your leadership style. Think about where you want to grow in one area over the next 2 months. And in that process, make sure that you're getting input from others about that growth. It's accountability from inside as well as outside. And think about, and if you're having a hard time figuring out how that goal is going to work for you, Maybe it's talking to, if you have a spouse, and ask them, is there something I could be better at? And most spouses will tell you, they just will. And so you'll notice afterwards, if you get some more feedback about, did you guys see an improvement in X or how I communicate or that? And you listen in, and that helps you figure out how to move forward and grow within your leadership. But most importantly, if you take nothing else away from this first module, it is that leadership starts from within. You all bring amazing talents and skills to the table as leaders. And you're going through all these modules. And I know that some things you're hearing are things you already knew. But most importantly is with it starting from within is being self-aware, know what your emotional patterns are and what you're doing. The emotional intelligence is managing your reactions. And if you do that, that will lead to more influence in what you do. And you can all be a Gigi Chan. And I'll use that as an example because Gigi is one of my most inspired people that I've had an opportunity to work with and be a co-governor with, because of how she is about being intentional. And she goes with influence over authority. She gives more than she takes. And the other part of it is, this isn't something that you can just do for 1 week and then they're all done. You need to do it daily. You need to be self-reflective. And I know that's hard. In our worlds, we're looking at so much coming at us, so many demands on our time. But if you don't start from within and take a little time out to be reflective, you won't have any opportunity to give to others and you'll become burned out. And I know that one of your modules in the future is that self-care. And so make sure that your self-awareness is part of your self-care process. And so I think that is the last slide, and I will stop sharing and look at all of you. And I know that over and over again, I did ask you if you have any questions, but now is a great time if you wanted to come on screen or ask any questions. You're more than welcome.
You know, Val, one of the, for myself, I'd like to share, because there's no question while waiting for question, okay? So managing reactions and choose responses. So there's always a choice that we have to make, right? So for example, you know, everybody loves to have to receive an apple. It's sweet, crispy, and delicious, healthy. But what if someone gives you lemon? So I don't like that. So there's a reaction there. So instead of saying, nope, you know, you're giving me that kind of treatment, sour, I don't like it. So what would you do? So think about, okay, lemon, make a juice out of it.
It's make a
Instead,
juice out of it. It's add it to water, but in the leadership concept is that you have some people that they're always going to try and push your buttons. And so that's the same concept. They come into a meeting going, how do I get to bell today? Because there's just some kind of odd joy that some people get in riling other people up. And if you don't know any people like this, you're very fortunate. But I have someone that he will tell a bad joke that's absolutely inappropriate at every meeting. And so when I finally got to be president of the club, I told him that I want him to provide a joke of the day that he would tell his grandchild. And all of a sudden, he stared at me and he goes, really? I said, absolutely. I said, I think you're really, really funny most of the time. But if my grandkid is in the house and they hear that joke, I've got to explain it for half an hour later. And it's not a good feeling to explain. But if we take your talent of telling jokes and twist it and change it, then it's great. And so with your analogy of the lemon, where you love, strawberries and apples, but someone gives you a lemon, you look at them and go, wow, I've never ever used lemons for anything. What do you use it for? As someone is coming at you and they're over and over again saying, no, I don't want to do that kind of program. No, I think that you're wasting money. I don't think that we should send you to international convention because that's wasting money and not all of us can go. And it's like, so what would you do to make sure that our club is represented and our voice is heard? Because this truly is the best club in all of Kiwanis world, right? We all believe this about our clubs, right? You got to believe that you're the best Kiwanis club, but the rest of the world doesn't know about you. And so you change what their direction is and ask them what they would do in a certain scenario. And that takes the heat off of you to try and keep cool and calm and collected. Make sense?
Yep.
Okay. I think that we're at that time where we should probably take a break. I don't know. What do you think? Does anybody have
any questions? Any questions, participant? Yeah, please feel free. You can during break, if you thought about your questions or something to share, you can leave it in the chat, or we will open it for discussion while some are taking break, right? So are we on break now?
I think
so.
we are.
We are. So we're paused for a 10-minute break, but for those who will not be leaving the screen, or feel free we're opening the chat, or can speak whatever you wanted to raise here. But while we're on break, we're gonna show you a video where Governor Val is actually part of the Kiwanis Connect. I think, Val, this is your initiative, right?
Yes, I actually started a television show that's broadcast every Friday for us at 9 a.m. Pacific time, 12 Eastern time. And a number of folks that are on here, I've actually seen the show. But when I was governor, I had done a listening tour and asked people what they wanted. And they said, we want people to know more about Kiwanis. And we also want to know all these different things. And I said, the most interesting way to do that is almost like a variety television show. It's not like a novella or anything like that, but it is an opportunity to bring in nonprofits from around the world, to bring in amazing Kiwanians to come and talk and speak about what's going on. Actually, at International Convention, we will be recording live in the Philippines, with my co-host being on the East Coast, my producers in Las Vegas. And today, we had this phenomenal student. She's 15 years old, who started her own nonprofit. And that nonprofit is run all by students. They only have one adult that focuses in on them because they handle the finances and contracts. But we also do commercials for clubs. So anywhere in the world, if you wanted a commercial put together, we help you put that commercial together for a small cost and then help you get that out to the world. And so this was our answer to, why doesn't Kiwanis do more marketing on mainstream TV? Why doesn't Kiwanis why doesn't Kiwanis do all this extra branding? And that's because it's very difficult to do branding for our clubs because each one of our clubs is a little bit different. We have a strong base of our objects of Kiwanis, but beyond that base, we're meeting the needs within our own individual communities. And so you'll see on my logo, that was the Rose Float. And if you've seen the International Rose Float on the New Year's Day, it was very intentional. Every flag from every country that belongs to Kiwanis is on the represented somewhere on the float. And we supported Circle K. and it can ask you a bunch of questions about Circle K at another time. But Bill, I'll give it back to you.
Okay, thank you, Val. So we're taking a break, and we will play this video just to show the participants here how the promotional this video works.
I
Okay,
don't hear the
doesn't have
sound.
any sound. Rico, there's no sound. Can we get the sound?
We have it in full screen.
Kiwanis.org.
Can we play it again?
Record. Have it full screen and replay. Thank you.
I have a question here. The one that
Hello.
yeah. So we have a question here from Ging. Ging, you want to say it directly? You want to ask it directly?
Yes, yes. Thank you and good morning. Yes, my
Morning.
question is leaders, we know leaders ideally uses influence so we can mobilize our members. However, there are challenges. Sometimes there are challenges along the way due to the differences of behavior or the background or understanding of some members. So my question is, how do we handle differing ideas or voices in a group?
I think that it goes back to making sure that you are consistently listening and that you're fair in the process. And sometimes people just need to be heard, but oftentimes they want to dominate, right? And with some of those different voices. So it's putting a time limit on conversations is oftentimes the best way to manage some of those different voices and set parameters. So if you know that give an example, it's going to be a very difficult conversation, right? That's going to happen in your meeting. It's making sure that you talk with them ahead of time so that you understand what some of their talking points are going to be, and you talk to different people, and so you set it up with, I know that this is going to be a tough conversation. Each one of you has some different opinions. This is what I've heard, right? And give examples from what you've heard, and then manage the conversation from there. So, does that make sense? And that's when you get to the point where you say to the group, we're not going to agree to disagree and have different opinions. What we're going to do is come up with a plan that works, and then we will all follow that plan.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Do you have a topic area that you might want to practice with me?
Maybe
Yeah.
it takes
Maybe one-on-one, because you'll have my email and we can talk on a Zoom.
Oh, that would be great. That would be great. Because
Yes,
maybe sometimes it takes an expert who has that so much experience in handling differences of ideas or behavior. No, it takes a lot of handling those differences. I mean, for somebody being a leader, sometimes they just think, okay, I will just deliver this, what is being expected of me. But the challenge there now is, how do you handle differences of behavior coming from
Absolutely.
yeah, and then that's it. Yeah. Anyways, I can always do my communication directly through the email.
Absolutely. And one thing that I do want to add, because it plays into our clubs, is sometimes in our organizations, you may have the ultimate supervisor and owner of a business and someone
Exactly.
who has another role, or they're in a
Yes,
competing business. And so there's
exactly.
that back and forth. So it's, as a leader, you set the pace for the conversations. And I'm not one that does fines. I really don't like those. So I don't fine people, but I really make sure that they understand separately and together that this isn't about them, it's about the kids, and it's whatever your project is focusing in on. And that's what we're going to spend our time talking about.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think I agree. Bringing in their position from their businesses or their companies within the discussion of Kiwanis. Yeah,
mhm.
I think that's
Yeah,
one.
yeah, the businesses that's wonderful. That's their work life. When your client is Kiwanis first, we're all sitting at the table equally, and we are bringing our best skills to the table.
Yeah, yeah, I think it's right. Okay,
Mhm.
I'm good. I'm good.
Awesome.
Thank you, Val, for that.
You're
So
welcome.
yeah, you've
I want to
you've
make sure
given
that
us,
I wanted to
yes,
bring up the other PowerPoint while you're preparing for the next part.
yeah, okay. So you've given us, I think, 3 assignments, right, to take back with
I
us,
did.
and then yeah. So I encourage the participants here to take time to work on it, and maybe in our we can always share our insights on that. We have the emails. I believe, I'm not sure, Reiko, we have all their email addresses that we could actually share our insights, or maybe in our next session we could or no, wait, there is an evaluation portion, so they could bring it to that they could share it with that on that one too. Okay, so I have another parliamentary procedure. While we're waiting for the next few minutes, right, Reiko? So I had a situation where both of our strong our senior officers in our group here on Guam. We were trying to solve an issue about online registration for our 2K 5K run. And they have a one would agree to have an online, the other one says no, it's hard to deal with that online thing. So until the discussion heated up, and I was in the middle and I had to stop both of them. I said, please stop because you are we are not solving or helping how to settle the situation. So I asked them to let's to go back to the real problem and find solution. And then
Absolutely. Mhm.
yeah, so I just have to bring them back to where we started. So at least they mellow down, because both of them have a different experience on that. So I said, set it aside. We're trying to refine the process and solve the kinks that we encountered. So I think that's one way, bringing them back to the.
Mhm. So I know that we had set ourselves up for 90 minutes, but if you look at your clock and what time it is, I'm not sure we're going to be able to do all of what I want to do, but I'm going to give you the best experience I can as we bring people back
Yeah.
for the second part.
Yes, I think we will start on the module number 2, the session number 2, which
Mhm.
is influence, trust, leadership impact. Everybody's still here. We have 59 participants on the list, so I think we could go and proceed with the second session.
Fantastic. So I'm
Well,
gonna, okay, I'm gonna find. So this one really spins off of where we were and talking about the very first part where it's really all about influence, but I wanted to go a little bit more in depth on the influence, the trust, and how that impacts leadership. And so on this one, it's really in depth more on trust and the foundation, everyday leadership behaviors that you might be seeing. And we started to have a little bit of that discussion. So I think it's going to be this will go really well. And once again, if you have questions, wave them. And so it's more of when you have the sage on the stage, people aren't interested and in that. They might be wowed for a little bit, but it is not nearly as effective as someone who is a true influencer. And so in the middle, I show what people sometimes think is that popularity equals leadership. Popularity doesn't equal leadership because oftentimes nothing gets done, but people feel really good and they feel liked and they feel loved, but nothing gets done. And that's the difference between, that between popularity and authority is one's really lonely and one's really crowded and amazing and fuzzy feeling. But what we're wanting you to really think about is that influence that you can have because influential leaders are very, very effective. And I'm trying to put it so that it's actually back to the slideshow. I don't know why it stopped. I apologize for that. Um, so as we're doing this, in our volunteer organizations, why this is important is because when you're dealing with children, you're dealing with at-risk adults, if you're dealing with people in our community, that that takes that empathy, that takes the being able to mobilize people and not be reactionary, but really have a shared purpose. So, Belle, you gave a great example of you have two completely diametrically opposed things, and people get really, really heated. I've noticed when they are, they get angry because they want to have it their way, right? And I've seen this oftentimes in clubs where there's a major breakdown in the process. And so, as a leader, that that's where your influence comes in. And you can use words like, trust me, this will work out. I believe that as we talk more together and we work out a very specific thing and you bring people back to the main line, that you're doing it in a way that lets people know that they were listened to and that you really are focused in on the outcome. And in those situations, if you didn't have a good influence, Bill, you would not have been able to separate those two gentlemen. And your meeting would have totally deteriorated and not been able to go back on track. So you have already been using that influence, and it's practicing in your communication. And one of the things sometimes is that as a leader, we've got to step up and make a decision, right? You've got to go one way or another with what's going on. And you've got to figure out what's impacting your club and make a decision. And so once you have the buy-in about what's going on, you're not commanding people and telling them what to do. You're sharing with them that here's the outcome, and this is how we're going to move forward. So how can I ask each one of you in the room to be a part of this? Where do you want to do this? And this is why I've made the decision, because when you share your why, the why, what's backing it up, and not make it an individual issue or personal, people will buy in. And then it is an agree on this and be able to move forward. And it's the daily actions. And so you all get the copy of this PowerPoint, but it's looking at your influence score. And the homework that I gave you, it's really thinking about what's going on with that, looking at how people offer support to you. It's making sure that you're feeling all of these processes and working on it. So this can help you set your goals on where you want to be. But it's all based on trust. And I'm going to ask, is it Charlie? Hi, Charlie. Can you come off mute?
Hello.
Hi. So when you think about trust, what does that trust look like? The person that you trust the most with something that's personal, what kind of things do they do and say?
That's a good question. So you mean like what are the characteristics that I look in a person when I trust them, or do you mean like
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
that's perfect. Yes.
That's a good question. Never really thought
I
about
didn't
it.
mean to stump you, so maybe we'll talk about that at a different level. But asking yourself just that very question. And Charlie, thank you for playing with me and coming off mute, because it is a tough question. It's a very tough question. And so that affects how you deal with people. But I can share with you that what's common across cultures is that sense of transparency. People feeling that you're open and you're honest. You can think about in any culture, when you encounter someone and you just don't think they're honest, there's no way you can trust them. When you believe in that they're going to do what they say they're going to do, that reliability, you have trust. It's also the fairness concept. You know, if you play favorites, people know that, and they will start to drift away, because how can they believe that if you're always loving up on one person, that they're ever going to be able to get anything done or focus in on their passion, because you have your favorites. And I know I use the word employee all the way through this, because most of the research out there says employees, but it's really it goes across the grain to volunteers. And it's like we really want every member to feel engaged at some level in our clubs. And so trust comes from you having that way of motivating people, getting them to commit to doing things, and really enjoying what they do in the club. And if you're looking at your clubs and you're looking at your organizations and you go, wow, no one's having any fun, that means you're not doing it right. Because Kiwanis is fun. Even when we're dealing with hard situations, even when we are dealing with people that are in crisis, working together and being able to laugh or sing or have karaoke together um, gives that level of enjoyment. And then it's also making sure that you're an active leader and that you are consistently moving towards bettering yourself and bettering others around you through your influence. And the more influence you have and the more influence you build, the more it continues and continues and continues. And so we have a raised hand by Charlie. All right.
No, I just wanted to reinforce what you said because I think you mentioned many good points when it comes to cross culture. I think from the if we were to meet for the first time, the biggest
Mhm.
thing that I look at, and I think many people do, is reliability because fairness, transparency, all these other things are equally important, but it develops as time goes by. So if I meet someone the first time, I would first judge if this person is reliable. For instance, like last night, I've been trying to get a hold of this friend because I felt like, maybe this friend he's not a close friend. He's someone I just met, but I could feel they were not in a good time in their life. So very low mood, very emotional. So I said, hey, let's get online, just chat about it. And, there are some things that we do share in common. And so I looked at this person like, is this person worth my time? And the first thing was reliability. We scheduled an appointment at a certain time. If this person didn't pitch up, my trust in this person, he already has lost points, because he
Mm-hmm.
was not reliable. We already made an agreement, right? And so I agree with you. Like just the small things, the small actions, right, means a lot. And so from the get-go, from the beginning, I would say, is this person reliable? If we come to an agreement or you say you'll do something, will you do it? Or of course, we don't have to be so strict saying, oh, maybe this person just had insomnia, he overslept, something like that. Sure. We can always give them the benefit of the doubt. But I think from
That's
the
where the
beginning,
empathy as a leader kicks in,
mm,
right? And that's when you give that benefit of the doubt, and but you're also aware and making sure that you're consistent and you're letting them know, especially with meetings, we all like for them to start on time, right? And we want them to end on time. And so for leaders to just share, um, if there is something that made you late, then it's explaining so that they all know that this is not going to happen again, that you're going to be very intentional about your process. And so, Charlie, thank you. Thank you for adding in. And we'll talk more. And it goes back to, and I guess I'm like a broken record on this. It's the small repeated actions, like Charlie, you mentioned about just that little bit about being on time, returning phone calls in a meaningful time. And I'm not sure if many of you've heard this rule, but with the new millennial, is it still the millennials or Zs? The newest generation, it's like with social media. If they send you a message on social media, and you don't respond within the first hour, they think that something may have happened. If you don't respond in the same day, then they start to make other plans. And if you wait for 5 days, they have moved on and you're basically dead. So when you have someone on Facebook or Instagram contact you and say, I'm really interested in what your Kiwanis Club does, you need somebody as a leader to respond back, even if it's just to say, I will get back to you, because that little touch lets them know that you're paying attention. And that gives you credibility with what you do. And so trust can be brought back if you lose that credibility with folks. Um, but it takes so much longer to regain trust than it does to gain it in the first place. Because most people start off with wanting to believe in the person and the goodness of each person. And almost every Kiwanian, there's so much goodness, and then there's so much Kiwanis goodness, as my friend Brad Boyd says. Kiwanis goodness just flows from us because we want to give and share. But the pieces in the communication that you'll learn as you're going along are so important. And what really erodes all trust in people is broken promises and inconsistency. And so when you're thinking about things, you have a great idea in your head, you can let people know it's an idea, but don't say we're going to do X if you're not sure that it's going to happen. It's having brainstorms, making priorities, because when there's lack of follow through or people keep going, they don't do what they say they're going to do. You lose that trust, and it's hard. It's very, very hard to get that back. And I know leaders where you go, I thought they were going to be great, but no. And if they ever run for another office, I'm not going to vote for them. That's when you know that's that trust factor process. And so for me, as one of the main takeaways from all of this is really making sure that your words, your actions, everything that you do, your communication and your communication style and everything, that you are delivering on what you do. And the other piece of the puzzle that's very special with our group is that when you wear your K, you know that you're an example of Kiwanis. You're an example of Kiwanis around the world. And in many of your countries, you have people from many, many other places that come. And when they see that K, they have this expectation of how amazing you are because you are Kiwanians. Because people will know the K, whether or not they're members of the organization. And so there's some everyday leadership behaviors that we do that build this trust. And I might just kind of quote it. The most important thing in communication is hearing what isn't being said. That's where the empathy comes in. That's when people know that they truly are being heard. Because oftentimes when you're in a group of people that you're not related to, sometimes you're kind of quiet about your process, or you're not as forceful when something is meaningful to you. But if you're observing of other people and really paying attention and your empathy, is kicking in, you'll notice when something is really, really important. And you stop, you acknowledge that that is important. And that then builds more trust in what's going on. And Belle, it goes back to the example that you gave where they're two totally different styles. And I'm sure you observed the tension, the stress, and the tightening of the face as they wanted to get their voices heard. And by engaging them and really letting them know that they're being heard, that there's a bigger picture to this, you gained a lot of trust points, not just with the two guys that were interacting, but you gained it by the people that observed what you were doing. Not that you needed extra points, but just sharing, because your authentic nature, your empathy, your reliability are all those pieces that make you strong. I know this probably doesn't need to be said, but why authenticity matters is because people want to believe in you. They want to believe in what the organization is all about. And as leaders, you represent the organization internationally, locally, and within your own club. And so what you do is reflected in your members. The engagement of what you do, the engaging behaviors, they show that you care. And so you'll go through the active listening modules and all that kind of fun stuff, but just know that what you're doing is so important, and it impacts people wanting to follow you. That's what makes our clubs grow, because when people come in to see us, they get excited because Kiwanians are not boring. Kiwanians do stuff. And around the world, people want to help. That is one of those common languages. People want to serve and be kind. And knowing that they want to serve and be kind is something that helps us build our fellowship. So I didn't see any new questions. So I'm just going to fly through because I'm looking at the time, Bill, and I know I can talk forever. But
We have sharing about trust on the chat.
very cool. Okay.
Yeah. Yes. MJ and Lisa had shared.
All
MJ,
right.
yeah. MJ,
Fantastic.
are
So
you
if everybody can take a look at
at
the chat and you're talking about parliamentary procedures. Oh, I love
trust
addressing
can, yeah.
Okay, that was brought up. Um, when I do parliamentary procedure training, I tell people that there are multiple layers of parliamentary procedure. When you are in a large group and in a formal group, parliamentary procedure is by the book. It is the motions, it's the business of getting business done. It's not about leadership influence. It is getting the business done. And then there's the uh, Robert's Rules of Order. And you'll see that we're whatever iteration of Robert's Rules of Order. So you follow in large groups and in board meetings, you follow exactly to the letter, and that's Robert's Rules. But there are also
lower akong gibutangan ha. Hold upper.
there are also Bob's Rules of Order, which are when you're in an informal group and you're having a discussion, but you know that there are some pieces that we really need to get through without the emotion, then you kind of do a modified Robert's Rules, and it gives it the nickname Bob. It's not as formal. It doesn't feel like if you don't say something the right way, it's not going to work. And you just share with people, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about things for about 5 minutes, and then we're going to vote on it. But it's informal. It's not a whole lot of rules and all of that. And then when I'm working with students, we do something called B's Rules of Order. And B is informal conversations and letting people know that we do have to come to a decision at the end. So you don't always have to, when you're using parliamentary procedure, you don't use parliamentary procedure for everything that you do, because parliamentary procedure is by definition an authoritarian way to lead a group. And parliamentary procedure also reduces creativity and interaction. So you think about when you use which rules and which groups that you use your parliamentary or Robert's Rules of Order. And in your influence, I know that as you start to move forward and you're in the next modules that you're involved in, you're going to see productivity. You're going to see how you influence people go up, because you can't not see it. When you're doing your own homework and you feel good about yourself, you'll automatically start to see that process happen. And so I'm going to do this. And I put some behaviors that in your when you have time to think about how you want to shape the relationships in your club, and think about things. I want you to look at where you fit and understand your empathy levels, how to give constructive feedback. And constructive feedback is individual. One of the golden rules is that you criticize people in private and we reward and acknowledge people in public. And that means that people feel like they are being treated as adults and not being treated as children. It's making sure that if there is negative behavior and it's affecting the group, that you deal with it right away. You don't let one person kill a club. And I think all of you probably in your time have seen where one person can destroy a complete culture in a club or organization. And so as a leader, it's taking the steps to make sure that dysfunctional and disengagement things are dealt with. And it takes a lot of work. You've got to be available, got to be emotionally available to do this stuff. And you've got to really focus in on the positive outcomes that are out there. And it all comes down to your relational skills versus the more hardcore line by line, knowing every rule of Robert's Rules of Order. And so there's a whole way to repair loss of influence and trust. But y'all don't need to repair it. You can come back to this video and look at it if you discover that, I really need to work on this because I don't
Definitely.
feel that there's enough trust, right? Come back to it and do that. But for now, work on the pieces that for you will just build those points up. And so as we're looking at all of this, if you really focus in on being an influencer versus being an authoritarian in your leadership, you're going to build that trust, and your clubs, people who work with you will absolutely love you. And that comes through because I know that you listen to them and you're authentic, and that each and every small action that you do makes a difference. Like Charlie was sharing, it's like the little things, they do make a difference. So I am going to stop sharing at this point and see all your beautiful faces as you come up. And so
Lisa Gilbert. Yeah, Lisa Gilbert, you want to share what you have type on your chat in the chat about trust? Lisa Gilbert from the Philippines. She
hi,
said,
Lisa.
oh,
Go ahead.
Hi, can
yeah,
you hear me? Oh yeah, so this is
yes.
a very interesting topic, and more often than not, trust is always, part of our Kiwanis journey. Okay, so it's just simple. Here in the Philippines, we have the saying like show me the receipt. So if you mean it, okay, you just
Mhm.
gotta deliver it. So it's as simple as say for example you're sending a report, and then you commit to submitting it today, and you have to deliver it. And if not and if not then you have to just be honest and apologize. The problem with most people, they never do apologize, like they keep on making excuses. But it's very simple. All you have to do is just admit it, be honest, admit it, and deliver it. And that's when trust is built, and you have to do it consistently, just like what your presentation keeps telling us, that you have to do it consistently. It cannot be done with just one activity, or with just just it's not overnight only. You have to do it consistently, and that's where you can build trust. and
Thank you, Lisa.
and in this world, people really want to tend to believe in what they see rather than what they hear. So you have to show them. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. That's awesome. Absolutely awesome.
We have
I'm looking.
Kapitan, our governor-elect from Southern Philippines. He said, walk the talk. Do you want to
Oh, yeah.
elaborate on that one? Yeah, Doc, Kapitan?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Uh, uh, as ASPAC chairman. Yeah, it means that you have to, what you're saying is you have to really act on it. No? You have to be a classic,
Absolutely.
you're saying,
Walk the walk,
no?
talk the talk.
In a kind of situation. Like a very basic is, yeah, 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 yeah. But, like you wanna ask uh, your team, like, okay, we're going to have a meeting at 6 o'clock in the evening. So you have to be there. You don't have to be late. So you have to really, do what you advise to them and be an example. And that is also applicable to all the activities that we're going to do. Uh, One is, as I remember it, like usually as a leader, you have to be the first person going to come in to be there, and you have to be the last man out, right? Of course, we've seen a lot of leaders that they left early than during meetings and leave everything else to the team. So I think that is not a good example. You have to lead, and you have to really see to it that you're going to be there up to the last minute until the meeting is going to end. Something like that.
I love it. I love it. I
Thank
think
you.
that I'm going to add it to the slides. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Absolutely. So Miss
Thank you.
Bell, if there aren't
Yeah,
any other
so
questions, I think that we were going to do another picture, right, with everybody?
right, right. I just want to also recognize people here. Charlie is from Vietnam, okay? And we have members here also from India. We have from Nepal. We mentioned a while ago, we have Japan, Taiwan, Southern Philippines, Philippine Luzon, Malaysia. So we're everywhere. Chair Michelle, are we ready for the group picture? Can I ask everyone to open your camera or turn on your camera and have a picture?
Okay.
Picture taking? Are you Chair Michelle or Gigi?
Yes,
Is
yes,
Gigi
yes.
still there? Yeah,
This
okay.
is still there. Yes, I'm there.
So we have 53 on the 53 participants listed. Okay?
Okay. It's not finished. I have to go to.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Are you counting? Say cheese.
Wait, cheese, everyone.
Ha?
Thank
Ano
you.
naman naisipan mo mag-diamond Dixon?
Haven't
Ako'y
finished.
madami akong pera. Yung pala, mas mataas ka pa kay atin.
Can we
Okay, let's
mute? Yeah.
wait. A lot of people. Let me see. Okay. Okay, I did it.
Okay, MJ. Don't have camera right now. At least
Lots of people doesn't have their camera.
yeah.
Wait.
Okay.
Ayaw. Sa galit
Are we done?
Mr. Doris, i-donate ko ngayon sa diamond headphone.
Oh,
Are
I think
we
that we have another screen that we were going to share for the evaluation.
yeah.
And
Yeah,
I
so-
hope you guys liked me because
right.
I really enjoyed being here with you. And I hope that you have a great rest of your day. So,
Yeah, so we are going to there was a screen.
mhm.
So how to get the certificate? So for all those who have attended all the modules from core module to module 1, and this is module 2, and then we have another 2 more to go.
Ay, ngayon ko
So you
yun.
can get your certificate
Naisip
if
ko,
you're
one
able to choose at least 3 elective modules. And there will be an awarding ceremony during the convention in Manila, and certificates will be awarded by the chair and also the Leadership Academy chair Reiko, and hopefully all the speakers will be there too. So next slide, we are going to have the next so it will be on May, right, Reiko? So the next speaker will be past district governor Taka Ogata of Indiana District, and past Kiwanis International President Sue Petrosine. So that will be module number 3. And then module number 4, that will be our last module. We will have past International President Jane Erickson and the incumbent governor of Malaysia, Gary Wong. So please join us also on these 2 remaining modules. And for this evaluation, we'd like to give you like 2 minutes to take your evaluation. Scan the QR code and you will get to the evaluation link. So you can start doing your evaluation now. So we'll give you 2 minutes for that.
How do you actually access that?
Yeah, you have.
No,
Or
I don't. I'm asking how I access it without
your
typing
QR
message.
code. Your camera, you can actually scan the QR code on the screen.
With your phone. with your iPhone, your smartphone.
If they're already on their phones doing the Zoom, is there a way to put that link in the chat so that they can touch the link in the chat?
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, that's
Michelle, can you?
yes.
Mhm.
Let me see. Wait. Oh, not this one.
It's not live on the screen, so they can't highlight it.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're
Perfect.
sharing the link on the chat so you can have
Perfect.
it.
I don't know if it works.
And looking forward to see you in Manila, everyone. There, the
Yeah, it's
QR code is posted.
and Rochelle.
Link is also posted.
Yes. Let me see. Yes, a few. Where is she? Yes. Rochelle is asking some. Where is she? Rochelle?
Oh, Rochelle here from Philippine Luzon district. What if I didn't sign up for the fourth session, and then I just want to be part of it after all? Can I join, like the digital and youth leadership training, something?
Yes, of course you can.
All right, thank you.
Please invite club members also to join because we really have a very informative and interesting topics here in Leadership Academy. Are we good? Are we good?
Everyone did have, I think we're good. I don't know. Yes.
Okay, so can we have the next slide? We're actually early, finishing up early. Okay, Desiree, have a nice weekend. So our next session is set on Saturday, May 2. So design, plan, and execute high impact projects and build and lead effective teams. So we will have two spectacular speakers, past Governor Taka and past International President Jane. So this is an equally interesting topic that we should not be missing. And we're not adjusting the date, right, Chair Michelle? We'll stick with May 2.
Let me see. May. Because for me, it will be May 1,
Yeah.
Labor Day.
Mhm.
No, I think it's, I don't have any meeting on that day anyway.
Yeah. Yes. So
And
everyone, we would like to thank Governor Valarie, and we wish you well. We wish you good luck on your campaign for international trustee. So bad that Asia Pacific cannot vote, but we will be there cheering you up for your campaign.
Thank you so very much. I appreciate you all. And you will have my email. And so you're more than welcome to contact me via email. I don't usually answer my cell phone if I don't recognize the phone number. So calling doesn't help unless you want to text. So thank you very much. And I hope you have a good rest of your weekend.
Thank you.
Can I say
And you
Very much,
too.
Val.
Can I say something?
And watch out for Kiwanis Connect. Check the Facebook page. We have that. Kiwanis
Can I
Connect.
say,
Yes.
can I say something to Val?
Yes.
Yes.
Val, it was a pleasure to see you again. I was
That's
very
wonderful.
fortunate. I was very fortunate when I was trustee to be your counselor, because I don't need to tell you anything to do, because you know you are a very good leader, and I hope that you will be elected as trustee, and maybe we will be on the board together.
It would be wonderful.
Yeah.
And your
with,
influence was huge for me. So thank you very much.
Yeah, as Bell said, unfortunately, we cannot vote because we are not a USA region. Otherwise, we will vote for you.
Next time.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Next
Another
time.
level up. Okay. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. From Australia, we have Australia. Charlene, thank you. Albert Clareta, thank you. Elsie Gan, Licho, Malaysia. Caroline Giordano, thank you. Francisca de Rimando from Baguio, thank you. All right, so we ended up early. Thanks for your input. Please do provide your evaluation to us, so at least we could capture whatever we need to improve, or whatever information you could share with us. Okay, thank you. And we will be sharing the slides, and you have a participant's manual that you also will be receiving. Thank you.
Thank you,
Bye-bye for
everyone.
now.
Bye-bye.
Much.
Aloha.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Soon, very soon, for the Kiwanis International Campaign.
Governor-elect of Nepal is here too.
Bye.
Thank you too.
Thank
From
you.
Hari. Yeah.